The new leader of the Federal Parliamentary Labor Party, elected unopposed, is Julia Gillard.
And I am truly honoured to lead this country, which I love.
What a moment in Australian political history. The first female Prime Minister.
Julia Gillard certainly made history when Kevin Rudd was ousted from the top job.
I asked my colleagues to make a leadership change. A change because I believed that a good government was losing its way.
It all happened at breakneck speed behind closed doors, instigated by right-wing power brokers who'd had enough of what they called Kevin Rudd's chaotic leadership. It was over before he knew it, the reasoning never fully explained to voters.
I was not elected by the factional leaders of Australia, of the Australian Labor Party, to do a job, though they may be seeking to do a job on me.
Julia Gillard pledged a fresh start, moving first to fix the Rudd government's much-maligned push for a mining tax.
We must end this uncertainty, which is not good for this nation.
How are you?
So a watered-down mining tax was swiftly negotiated, though it never did deliver the revenue Labor promised. And the ghost of Kevin Rudd would continue to haunt her. As the 2010 election approached, new questions were being asked about the coup.
Is it true that there was then a brief break and that when the meeting resumed, you said you'd changed your mind, you'd been informed that he didn't have the numbers in caucus and you're going to challenge anyway?
I will never be speaking publicly about my discussions with Kevin Rudd on that night.
It was a taste of things to come. The election campaign that started a few days later soon unravelled in the face of more strategic leaks against Julia Gillard.
I am not making judgments about the source of any of these leaks.
But many of her supporters and colleagues pointed the finger firmly at Kevin Rudd.
Kevin Rudd sabotaged Labor's campaign in 2010.
Clumsy attempts at damage control failed miserably.
Rocky, these have all got significant.
A desperate shift in campaign strategy backfired.
From my point of view, whilst that campaign has given people glimpses of the real Julia Gillard.
Would the real Julia please stand up?
In August 2010, the election Labor thought would be a shoo-in instead gave Australia a minority government.
Obviously, this is too close to call. There will be a number of independents in the House of Representatives.
Julia Gillard's renowned negotiating skills with the independents enabled Labor to cling to office, just.
Labor is prepared to deliver stable, effective and secure government for the next 3 years.
It was an uphill battle from that moment, as the government forged an alliance with the Greens to try to get its agenda through the Senate, and did a damaging backflip on its election promise there'd be no carbon tax.
It has a fixed price period at the start, a price that will be fixed. That is effectively a tax, and I'm happy to say the word tax.
There will be no carbon tax under a government I lead.
Julia Gillard sought to focus on and implement other big-ticket items. The National Broadband Network, Gonski education reforms and the National Disability Insurance Scheme were her favoured projects.
The idea of a national disability insurance scheme has found a place in our nation's hearts.
But through it all, Kevin Rudd and his supporters continued to stalk Julia Gillard. In February last year, this culminated in a leadership challenge and unprecedented open warfare.
Thank you. And I think it is evident to the Australian people that there has been a long-running destabilisation campaign here.
Kevin talks about stealth. I mean, this has been a covert operation and he's up there operating the drone 24 hours a day.
Kevin Rudd talks about a wave of destabilisation and undermining of him. Really, he should just look in the mirror.
I think we need to get out of this idea that Kevin is a messiah who will deliver an election back to us.
I want to finish the job the Australian people elected me to do when I was elected.
Rudd's desire was firmly rejected in a caucus vote on February the 27th as Gillard made this pledge to voters.
I can assure you that this political drama is over and now you are back at centre stage where you should properly be.
The drama never was over. Damaging scandals swirled around MP Craig Thomson and the Speaker Peter Slipper. Leadership tensions continued to simmer. Earlier this year, Kevin Rudd stepped back from the brink and declared he wouldn't challenge again.
When I say that I would not challenge for the Labor leadership, I believe in honouring my word.
The other constant throughout Julia Gillard's reign was the bitter debate over gender politics.
I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. I will not.
Even before it spilled into the public arena, gender manifested itself in anti-Gillard rallies, ugly websites and shock-jock radio commentary.
Tim's gay.
Well,
no, that's not me saying it, that's a myth.
Well, that's absurd.
Would this have happened to a male leader in the same minority government circumstances? Probably not. There's no doubt Julia Gillard was a polarising figure in the community. She made some spectacular mistakes, and her successes were never communicated convincingly. The greatest problem of all was that voters just stopped listening to Australia's first female Prime Minister.